Okay, we are ready.
Okay, welcome to the November 2025 meeting of the Land Use and Waterfront Committee. My name is Gabe Terzo and I am the chair of the committee. Tonight we are joined by Assistant District Manager Brendan Burke. This meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. As a reminder, New York State law requires all committee members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you may have by raising your hand. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. We need a volunteer to take minutes tonight. If you are able to take minutes, please let me know. I could do so. All right, thank you. Alec has graciously agreed to take minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we will now take attendance by roll call. Brendan will conduct the roll call.
Committee members, I will call your name. Your name is called, please say present. I'll announce if there is quorum. Majid Abdul Samad, I do not see. Tanya Arias.
Present.
Victoria Benatar won't be with us tonight. Daniel Bernstein.
Present.
Jim Collins.
I just saw Jim.
Yeah, I do see Jim.
I'm here. I just didn't have my mic on.
Okay, Maya Donahue.
Present.
Alec Militic.
Present.
Rich Mintz won't be with us tonight. Larry Shire.
Present.
Sandra Sherrod.
Present.
Letty Simon.
Present.
Susan Steinberg.
Present.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Gabe Terzo.
Present.
And James Vera.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the October 27th meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no objections, and the minutes from the October 27th meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have questions about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. Committee members unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speak at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. The chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us of any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Okay, we are here at the agenda. Quick note on agenda item 2, we will not be addressing that tonight. We're still waiting for information from the Department of Environmental Protection, but we are going to start now with a discussion of quality of life issues in Stuyvesant Cove Park. And with that, I'm going to hand over the floor to, I believe, Dina.
Thank you, David. And thank you, everyone. I know this agenda item was added at the last minute, so I really appreciate you taking the time. And tonight, I just really want to draw the committee's attention to the fact that, we're now almost 3 months into the full opening of the park for the first time since the flood wall has been constructed. And I'm sure people who have been through the park, well, I'm not sure, but I think many people who have been experiencing the park in its new form have noticed that there are some persistent quality of life issues that we are dealing with that have manifested in ways that I think are a little bit different than what we've experienced in the past. For example, today one of the park staff let me know that sometime over the weekend somebody set a fire near one of the plant beds involving rat poison, even like setting rat poison on fire for some reason. Near one of the seat walls. The seat wall is scorched. We hosed it down today. We're going to power wash it tomorrow, but we're also getting ready to turn the water off for the season so the pipes don't freeze. We've had persistent troubles with individuals who have been bringing trash into the park and then sorting through it to try to find things that they can sell out on 14th Street and then leaving enormous messes. We had somebody who was menacing people with a city bike for a while, although I think that particular individual has moved on. Anyway, it's been more intense, I would say. Another issue that has come up recently has been people pirating electricity from the bottoms of the new lampposts and then leaving the exposed wires out, sometimes even in the rain. And probably people have noticed that a number of the chairs are missing around the picnic tables near the ferry landing. This is because people were unbolting them. We suspect they were planning to collect them and then try to sell them for scrap metal. And we're working on getting the bolts replaced. Also, we asked the ESCR team to store them down under the overpass at 18th Street, and we've been having some trouble reaching them in order to get them back so that we can replace them. Anyway, all of this is to say, we have currently a staff of 3 full-time people working in the park, and they spend, I would say, at least 50% of every day trying to clean up after people, remove used needles, human waste, large amounts of trash, many, many things. So in a recent meeting with EDC, it was suggested, how would the community react to the idea of closing the park? So that was what gave me the idea to bring some of these issues to your attention. Personally, I'm not sure that closing the park, well, first of all, I think it would be very difficult for us to do because of the hours when people are using the park. I mean, there's no reason to penalize the many runners who run, between 6 and 8 in the morning. We generally don't have staff available until 8. But I think perhaps the first step is to try to get the city council to legislate some rules that we could actually try to enforce in the park in order to get a little bit more robust NYPD involvement in some of these issues. I think one of the downsides of the wall has been that it's very, very difficult for them now to patrol the park. It cannot be seen from the bike path. So I think, they will drive squad cars and sit at 20th Street for, a minute or two, see that nothing's going on and then leave. It's also been challenging to get DSNY to come and clean up large amounts of trash between, DHS, MOC, and DSNY. It's very difficult to make 311 complaints because there's no the only physical address that we have is the building. And generally speaking, most of the things that are happening that need to be addressed happen farther to the south. There's also the difficulty of the many different agencies and entities that are involved in managing the area as a whole. A lot of the property falls under EDC through SBS, but some of it is also city DOT. The wall now has fallen under the auspices of DEP. We're trying to get an interagency meeting to try to work out who is going to be responsible for what going forward. But anyway, I just wanted to bring this to the committee's attention that this is an issue. We're trying to work on a way to solve it. And I think, I'm very much interested in what people think is the appropriate level of management and control that we can have over what is a rather challenging but very important space, I think, for the community. So Gigi Lee is also here from EDC to address any issues or questions that you might have that would go more towards them than to me. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to communicate to you all today. So Jim, yeah, I would be happy to answer any question.
Jim.
Thanks.
The 13th precinct community council well, discussed quality of life within the community, within our precinct. I think it was the September meeting. And they have a special team addressing quality of life issues, precisely what you're talking about. So, I would take it there. And they have a brand new commander, and if you'll give me 2 minutes, I'll give you the guy's name. He's on vacation at the moment, but he's be back in place
Lieutenant
in
Rice.
no, this guy's a deputy inspector in the command
Daniel
precinct.
Orlando is his name. Daniel Orlando.
What? Yeah. What Urquhart, isn't it, or something? What's his
Daniel
name?
Orlando.
I sent it. No, it's not. I sent the name of the precinct new commander to the office. Well, I
Okay,
don't know. Well,
so
Yeah,
certainly I think bringing this to the,
So I would reach out to him. I don't understand why. There it is. His name is Alexander Braithwaite,
Oh, that's
deputy
okay.
inspector, and Alexander Braithwaite.
Okay. I mean, we did have
Alright.
a
That's
meeting
the
with,
first thing I would do
we did have a
before
meeting with
before I
them.
do any of this other stuff you're talking about.
We did have a meeting with them in September, right ahead of the building opening. But I have to say, yeah, I will reach out. We will reach out to them, to him directly, and see
Right.
what he might be willing to.
And I'd also mention that further down the river, going south, there is basically a homeless encampment on the river, a little bit north of the Con Ed site, so it goes beyond just the park.
Yeah, I think, there's a comment in the Q&A about how, making 311 calls doesn't seem to do very much, and that
Don't call 311. Call 911. Call 911. Actually call the precinct and ask to speak with Braithwaite when he's officially installed.
so.
He's officially not
Jim,
installed.
All right, I'm gonna just jump in here. So absolutely contact the NYPD, and then we're gonna go to Susan.
Thank you. I was thinking in terms of, well, first of all, let me say how sorry I am that you're having this situation. And I noted what you said about NYPD not being able to appropriately surveil the park because of the physical barriers to it. And I was wondering whether it would be possible to have drone surveillance. Excuse me. That would, no, it's not, that would.
There's a seaplane and heliport right in close proximity.
Yeah, that's a good
It's in the
question.
Class B airspace. I don't know, maybe NYPD could do that, but congested airspace.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, and this may be more like an EDC question, maybe even like a question for the office to ask NYPD, but and I guess Jim already kind of touched on this, but I'm curious, like whether this is like these issues are Stuyvesant Cove Park specific, or if it extends well beyond the park. Just because if it is not just a Stuyvesant Cove Park issue, then I assume you have to treat it as such.
Well, I would say it's definitely not just a Sty Cove Park issue. It's a citywide, it's a nationwide, it's probably even a worldwide problem to some extent. The thing that makes Sty Cove particularly challenging is that it's not under the auspices of the Parks Department, and it doesn't have any of the resources that Parks has. So we have no, park enforcement personnel or patrols. We don't have, like I said, we don't have official rules for the park that can be enforced by NYPD. The park has to be open to the, it's in the lease that the public access way has to be maintained as open 24 hours a day for anybody. So all of those things, I think when the lease was written in the early 2000s, maybe a lot of these problems existed, but not quite on the scale that they currently do today.
Okay, Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Arias. Thank you for your presentation. In a perfect world, and I'm sure you've discussed this before, what would be your choice of solution for this is my first question, because I'm sure you've thought about. You had mentioned closing up the park. We have a situation, I live in Tudor City. Tudor City parks are private to Tudor City. And what we do is we take turns, every building takes turns opening and closing the gates at a certain times we have to have public access to the parks. That's part of the agreement. We can't just close them up for Tudor City. So it's a good compromise. We open the parks at 6 a.m. We close them at around 9:30. And each building around the area takes turns. So I'm just wondering, that's one solution that we have. Have you thought of, in a perfect world, what would be the solution you would like to see for the park?
I think in a perfect world, the solution we'd like to see is that, the people who end up abusing the park have other places to go, more public restrooms, more support services. But I mean, these things are not, and like, we see it as a systemic problem that we don't really have the capacity to solve, that no single entity, probably even that's involved, has the capacity to solve. I think, some of the things that, in a perfect world, I would say, there's a way to control or regulate the flea market that happens on 14th Street at the church, because a whole contingent of people that have, I think that are the electricity pirates, and potentially the people who have been taking the bolts out of the chairs and who leave a lot of the trash, and sort a lot of the trash. That's the place where they make their money, and congregate and meet each other. And there's quite a large contingent of them. So, I mean, having something to be done about that would probably be very helpful for us. But, I feel like, yeah, and I'm not sure that locking the park actually really is a practical solution. And I think it would make a lot of people very unhappy. Because
Okay.
really, how are we going to put up a fence where there's also the flood wall and the floodgates in a way that doesn't, interfere
No, I get
with
it.
that? How do, yeah,
I get it. I was just telling you what this solution
yeah.
was for us, but I'm trying to find out what would work for you. You now bring this matter of the 14th Street flea market, which I have to admit, whenever I take the bus there, it's like, whoa. Um,
It's
it's,
a really huge problem for the
it's a huge
neighborhood.
problem. So it goes beyond the park.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Daniel.
Hi, and thank you for giving your talk today. I'm Daniel. I don't have an immediate solution, but I could say that as someone who uses the park a lot, and I go and runs and I walk through the park. I would be, and I've seen a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. I've seen people pooping in the park. It can be bad. I would be really disappointed to see it closed for any period of time. And that would be the biggest, like, that would be bigger than anything else to me. Like, as a regular user, like, just the fact that, like, already the lower part of East River Park is closed. And so I'm like, now I have to go on my runs up. And that's like the only part in that area that's nice, that's actually like well paved and everything. And I would just be so frustrated to see it closed. And I know that I'd be texting my friends who are also running. It stinks that this is closed. And on top of that, I think it wouldn't really make things cleaner. It would just sort of move the grime to that parking lot under the bridge or the bike path or something like that. Like it wouldn't really go away. I mean, people are sleeping on top of the floodgates, like it would still be there. It would just sort of be pushed a little bit into the other parts that are even a little bit uglier already. So I know that's not a solution. I just know that as a resident, I would be really upset if it were closed.
I think
Larry.
that's actually a really, really excellent point. Because it's true that the area under the highway where the parking concession is and the bike path itself, you know, these are also part of the problem. So it's true. Just having the water side closed would not actually solve the problem.
Yeah, it makes it so much better. And most of the grime there is like under that bridge, under the highway anyways. Like you see trash all the time, like in that area where the highway meets the parking lot, meets like at like 14th or 15th Street, whatever it is there. That's where like the bulk of the trash thrown out everywhere is, I feel like. So
Well, but honestly, that's because this like the Sky Cove Park staff are cleaning up huge piles of garbage every single morning.
right, we'll do
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, Larry.
Hi, Dina.
hi Larry.
Lynn Shire. To follow up on what Susan Steinberg was speaking about in terms of surveillance, there are other ways that you might accomplish more or less the same goal and at the same time maintain an ongoing and constant ability to monitor. And what came to mind is that there are now pretty inexpensive video systems that would be battery operated, could work off of a cellular system that if you spoke to the folks at EDC who own the flood wall, might allow you to mount them on top of the wall so that you can look at the places where typically you've had the situation of people breaking things down toward the south end of the wall. And you could keep an eye on those very discrete locations where you've had an ongoing a situation, and in connection with monitoring those areas, you'll have the ability to work with the 13th precinct. You can even give them a feed and allow them to decide when to patrol in real time rather than relying on 311.
So we do actually have live video monitoring around the building at the moment, which we are
That's not
which we
where
are
we're
paying
having
for.
the problem, right? It's
And
the
it
problem
does. Well, no, but part of the reason that we don't have a problem there is because we have the live video monitoring from 11 at night until 6 in the morning. When people go within a certain perimeter close to the building, a voice will tell them that they're trespassing and that the police are going to be called. And it's been very effective. The difficulty is it is not actually cheap, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's worth exploring. We can talk to the 13th precinct about what they think about the possibility of more video monitoring. Yeah, I mean, definitely the live video monitoring works. I'm not so sure about a more passive system, but it's worth exploring for sure. Yeah, Tanya, thank you.
Oh, he's told me to wait.
I was gonna ask you a question. First of all,
Yeah.
I think Psycho Park and Solar One are tremendous public assets. We're very happy to have them here, and it is unconscionable that you're spending 50% of your bandwidth cleaning up the mess created by a tiny handful of bad actors. So we're with you, and we're going to find a way to prevent this from going forward. A question for EDC, for Gigi, you're on the phone, on the line. Obviously, Dina, you said earlier, parks rules would make this easier if we had parks rules, right? We could have behavioral enforcement around some of the things we're seeing. Is there a way to get parks rules designation in an EDC property without it being part of NYC parks?
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, Gigi Lee, I'm a vice president in EDC's government and community relations team. Good question. I do not believe that that is possible.
Okay.
A follow-up to that, Gigi, if there must be rules in the rest of the Greenway, is that because, you know, the 53rd Street up is taken over by Parks. Is that why Parks rules are defined there? What about
Yes.
Patrick J. Brown Walk, for instance?
So in general, parks rules are dawn to dusk. So anywhere where you see a maple leaf sign or any sort of parks logo, they have their own team that opens and closes the gates to all of their properties. The Greenway, as I think Dina had explained earlier, is public access, and so therefore really is supposed to be 24 hours. They define public access as 24 hours, 7 days a week availability.
Okay,
And you know, this issue of the parking under the FDR, I mean, I think as everybody here knows, we've been advocating to make that a public space, which would really help this situation. So if we can put that on the table sooner rather than later to have that parking removed and if it became public, then, you know, people are using it, it's a different thing that happens. I will also say that we've heard a lot about the 14th Street Flea Market. And there have been meetings with elected officials. So it's certainly on the radar of the 13th precinct as well as our elected officials. I think this is a new piece of information we can take.
Yeah, I mean, what I will add is that, you know, we meaning there's about 6 agencies that meet quarterly, really to discuss and work out a plan around jurisdiction challenges around the flood wall. And because with the flood wall, there need to be weekly and monthly, you know, at different levels. I don't remember the exact word that we use, but basically simulations so that we know in the case of an extreme weather condition that they are tested regularly, they can be deployed, there's no one sleeping on top of them, there's no encampments that will prevent them from being fully utilized for them to do the job they're supposed to do. So there are a lot of eyes, and 18th to 23rd Street here has been identified as a hotspot, and we will continue to meet. Unfortunately, this is an example of a lot of alphabet soup with lots of agencies trying to figure out how to best handle the situation. We just met last week, and I am in process of scheduling separate meetings with both DOT as well as social services, the group that handles the homeless encampments, to really try to work out a better system here. I think that, you know, like Dina was saying, we are just, even in the best situation, it's reactionary, right? It's just, we've seen that, you know, with the most recent encampment sweep, they're back within 48 hours. There are situations where the individuals are very well known to the outreach groups, and they tell us, you know, I was able to get temporary housing uptown, but old habits are hard to break, and I need money, and that's what the flea market sort of provides me, right? And so I think we are trying from a government operations end to, you know, put concretely that DOT should be in charge of clearing the bike lanes, that there should be a way to escalate this particular location due to a flood wall, you know, deployment, that we should have a direct line. And so we're doing everything we can from the government operations side. Certainly Councilmember Power's office and incoming Councilmember Harvey Epstein are on those emails, and they're aware of the challenges, and as is the 13th precinct. I think it's just a problem we're going to have to continue to work and maybe try different things at different times and see what is helpful. I don't think there's going to be a silver bullet here.
Connie, then Laurie, then James, okay.
Dina, this question is for you. I hear that there is no police presence within the park and that the patrol is too far away to look inside. Has there ever been any sort of public or private patrolling of the parks?
So we have not we are not in a position to hire, like, for example, in Brooklyn Bridge Park, which is in a similar situation to us, but is also surrounded by a lot of new development, which brought in a lot of tax money, some of which goes to the maintenance of the park. So they're able to hire PEP staff from parks, even though they're not a city park. We're not in a position to do that. And we're starting to look into, whether we do actually need some kind of overnight security presence, and will we be able to find a way to pay for it? And as of right now, the truth of the matter is, it's difficult to fundraise for a park that's not officially a park. And historically the park has run at a deficit, which we make up for with other program revenues through the organization. We're certainly hoping that the building now being open and up and running is going to help cover that gap and then some. But I think at this particular moment in time, it may be something that we realize that we have to revisit when the weather gets warmer. We are now entering the part of the year where things are going to be a little bit calmer because of the temperatures going down. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say about that at the moment. It's very much a financial concern.
Larry?
I have a suggestion for keeping track of the various jurisdictions. And now that we have settled upon who's responsible with this new flood wall for the different facilities. When I was at the Port Authority, the property engineer there maintained a jurisdictional map which had on it an allocation of responsibility of facilities where there were adjoining property owners responsible for different aspects of a physical structure. And the map would distinguish with stipples, striped lines, and other means of visually distinguishing whose property or jurisdiction is what and where. And then in the legend, there would be information as to under what agreement, the date, the parties, and any other things you'd want to put in there, like phone numbers, contact people, where you could have this master map. Maybe it could be maintained at the borough engineer's office, but everybody who has a stake here would know who to call and how to contact them, and not get the bureaucratic runaround.
Yeah, thank you. We are in the process of drafting something very similar. I will say that the jurisdiction in terms of operation of the flood wall, it's very clear. It's within the mayor's office in it used to be Maki J. They have a new name now, but there is one agency within City Hall that has complete operational jurisdiction. But these other 6 agencies, it's really to assist in when they do these tests, and some of them are weekly, some are monthly, some are annually, and then also God forbid, in an extreme climate event. It's really also to map out like you said, the contacts at each agency, who to call for what, and how we can all kind of come together in each of those different events if there are hindrances to complete deployment. So a master document that is in similar concept is being worked on currently.
James?
I just want to piggyback on what Larry said earlier. Dina, are the cameras you have on site, are they recording, and are those recordings saved? Because I think
Yep, they are.
documentation, and is that shared with anybody? Like
So-
NYPD gathered and put together for NYPD to review, and so there's some overall documentation of the intensity of the issue?
So I mean, the thing is, the active cameras are only directly around the perimeter of the building. And like I said, it's live video monitoring. So when when the camera is, I mean, the cameras are, I don't know if they're recording all the time, but when they are on, actually, even when they're not recording, like through an app on my phone, myself and the CEO of Solar One, Steve Levin, like we can look and see what's happening from all of those camera views at any moment in time. If there's an event that's triggered, then the system makes a recording. It notifies a dispatcher within DGA, the company that manages the security. And if no one is available, which they often aren't, because often these things happen in the middle of the night. Like I said, the system is active from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. So if nobody says, "Oh, it's a false alarm," then they let NYPD know that something has occurred. I think if they deem it to be something, generally what happens is, it's somebody urinating behind the building. The recording comes on to tell them that they're trespassing, and then if they don't leave immediately, the police will be called, and generally that's enough to scare them away. But if something were to happen within one of those areas, yes, we have video recordings of those incidents that we could share with the police. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to Mark and then Jim, and then the questions from the public.
Okay, I'm muted, I can't tell, sorry. Can you hear
No,
me?
we can hear you.
Okay, good, my clicker's going wacky. I'm gonna wear my Friends of Stuyvesant Cove hat right now. We had a meeting a while ago and Dina was there, and to follow up, Dina, we did send a letter to the Hector at the borough president's topo office to request addresses for, and Gigi, you should know this too, for the pier and the two gates, so that when the police are called, you can tell them, it's going to be at that address, this one. That way they can find where the problems are much more easily. I mean, we wanted to do like 5 or 6, but it wasn't really possible because there's no real landmark or building. And Solar One's going to have their own address too. And the park currently has the address at the very northern end of the park. So there'll be 5 addresses altogether. So at least the police can get a better, location of where something might be happening. That helps.
I think that's going to be very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and Gigi, you might want to check with Hector and see to coordinate, because that'll help. I think you have magic powers. So.
Okay,
Yep.
I will.
And then following up on Larry's comment about the map, years ago in the board office, and I can't remember who it was, it was at least 10 years ago, if not longer, we actually had a map made of the entire waterfront and who had jurisdiction, but I don't know where it is in the office. It's been a while, so it's probably outdated anyway, but it might be a good start. We need that. That's it. That's all.
Okay, Jim?
That's smart.
I heard you say probably at least 3 times that we can't do that because we're not a park. We can't do that because we're not a park. We're not a park. And that not being a park is a problem. So, stupid question, why not just cede the territory, the jurisdiction to the Parks Department?
I think there's a couple of reasons for that. It's true that these problems are exacerbated by it not being a park. On the other hand, though, there are advantages to not being under the auspices of the Parks Department. So, It's a
Such as,
balancing act.
such
Um,
as,
such as
what are the advantages?
to give an excellent example of an advantage of not being under the jurisdiction of parks is that, you know, after the damage was done from Sandy, you know, parks could not allow people to come immediately to volunteer to help clean up. There were a lot of people that wanted to do something, and there was nothing that they could do in their local parks department
We
park
were
because
there.
parks was still
I was
assessing.
there with my,
Right.
I was there with my
So,
son's
but
Boy
we,
Scout troop.
right. So we didn't have those restrictions.
No.
It-
We actually worked in the park. We planted stuff, you know, the boys did it, but we were there.
Right, that's what I'm saying is in Sty Cove, because we were not under the auspices of parks, we were able to invite people almost
Oh,
immediately
I see. I
to
see.
come and
Okay.
help with that.
Right.
And that was good. It was good for us. We were able to start addressing the issues immediately, and it was good for the community to give people a focus and something to do to help, you know, address this terrible situation that had happened. It was really a wonderful opportunity in a way to
But,
engage the community and
right.
work
If I can
together.
just
So,
interrupt, if I can just
yeah,
interrupt for a second, we volunteer at Stuyvesant Cove Park as well, which is under the park's jurisdiction.
you mean
So what's
Stuyvesant
the
Square
difference?
Park?
Yes. What's the difference?
The difference is, in this case, um, my understanding was people could not go immediately to parks like Stuyvesant Square in the aftermath of, you know, that event. Now that may be different now because of the flood wall. I don't know. In a future storm event, we might not be able to, but other things, you know, we can do certain kinds of public programming more easily because we're only having to deal with, you know, the rules and regulations through EDC rather than the larger bureaucracy of parks. Um, it,
Is EDC
also, you
planning
know,
any?
the reason that it's not a city park to begin with is that Parks was not willing to take on the responsibility for the park. Also, I have to say, if you've been to Asher Levy Park recently, it's not as well maintained as Sty Cove because Parks doesn't dedicate staff to any particular piece of park. They have teams that go around, but there's less weeding that gets done in Asher Levy Park than in Sty Cove. There's less planting that happens. There's less, honestly, tender loving care given to the smaller parks departments parks that are all around us because they don't have the capacity to do it. So putting
What?
Sty Cove into their hands ultimately
Right.
means less attention to Sty Cove than what we're able to provide.
Okay, yeah, and I think it was an interesting idea, and also not, it's easier said than done, I think, transferring city assets between agencies, so I don't know if that's on the table today.
Well, I'm just wondering, is EDC planning any further development of the property? Anything, are they doing anything further? Because it seems to me that the purpose of EDC is to make development of properties for, you know, economic use. And if they're not planning to do anything further with it, why not feed it to the department of the city that's responsible for such things? That doesn't make sense. Unless they're planning something further. I get it where they were doing the flood wall and what have you, but the rest of it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, so Jim, EDC manages hundreds of miles of well, not hundreds of miles, but a significant portion of the hundreds of miles of waterfront property throughout the city of New York. I think the agreement we have in this particular location with Solar One is a very special one. EDC does you know, the speed and sort of the creativity in which that building was built, while may seem very slow to most people, was actually done very quickly. We also continue to support Solar One with funding for their programming. So EDC, and we also help, you know, our government and community relations team really tries to help expedite, you know, issues with other agencies that, you know, Dina raises to us, and we meet quite regularly. So, you know, EDC, I will say, EDC pays quite a bit of attention and invests quite a lot of money in maintaining this particular part of the waterfront, given its size.
Yeah, but my point is that
Oh,
You're
hold on, sorry.
done
We're gonna
without
move
that.
on from
The
from
money's
EDC and
going,
parks.
you're switching from one pocket of the city money to the other pocket. What's the point? Makes no sense.
I mean, it's a fair question, but it's a little out of scope. We're gonna go to Brendan.
Yeah, just a quick point I wanted to raise and then sort of a quick question. The point I wanted to raise is obviously not a short-term thing, but just wanted to remind the committee, just for the record, that, on the topic of all this alphabet soup of agencies, the board did pass a resolution a couple years ago supporting the borough president's proposal to create a New York City Department of Waterfront Protection to try and like consolidate all this alphabet soup. As I said, not a short-term solution, but if the committee is concerned about this continuing alphabet soup, the committee may want to think about how to further advocate for something like that to go forward. So that's the one point I wanted to make. The question I
Thank you.
have, the question I have, and that may partly be a Gigi question, but also perhaps for other agencies like an NYPD, is given that the flea market stuff seems to also be affecting Stuyvesant Cove Park. Do we know whether there's been any work to identify pathways for the flea market to do things a little bit more above board? And if so, what has that work looked like?
Yeah, I think without going into some of our current policing policy, it has been challenging. There are not significant laws that those individuals, for the most part, have broken. And so typically they bring in the outreach teams, and it is an issue of connecting to social services or housing, or do they need other services? It is it's not something that NYPD feels or that we've seen that NYPD feels like there's sort of more action that they can take at this point. Certainly there was an individual that Dina and her team knows really well that became aggressive. And we worked together to sort of try to find a path forward for him. But again, I think it's a case by case situation. And they've said they'll continue to monitor it. And if they think they can take further action, it's something that they're considering.
Okay, that's good context. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're gonna go to members of the public. There's a member of the public online, Tommy Loeb.
Okay, Tommy, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you. I'm actually coming here as a visitor from Community Board 3 and East River Park. As you know, our area has been open since Labor Day, and I don't want to burst your bubble, but we have all the problems you have mentioned, even though we are a designated New York City park. We have, for those of you, PEP is only on during the day, limited hours, limited staff. They are not around at all to enforce the rules. They're not around at night. I would suggest you check with your precinct, because the 7th precinct, like I'm sure the 13th, has very few patrol cars in the evening hours from midnight to 8. So we get no coverage either in the park by the NYPD. Another problem is access, which you've mentioned. We have no access now because they put up bollards, and neither the NYPD, the FDNY, EMS can get into the park unless somebody from Parks opens it. And that does not happen in the evening hours. As was mentioned, it's kind of ironic that Brooklyn Bridge Park, because they have the assets, actually hires PEP officers And therefore, we don't have those PEP officers. I could show you multiple photographs. For example, we have a big, beautiful open lawn. That lawn, I have counted up to 14 dogs off the leash on that lawn. We have rules. There is nobody to enforce those rules. So having the rules is kind of inconsequential until we have what everybody is saying is necessary, but is sort of the hidden object. We need supervision. We need physical presence in the park, and probably even over the midnight, overnight hours. Otherwise, none of this is going to be resolved. So I hope you guys help us and help advocate for having a reasonable policy for policing and supervising and maintaining our parks. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, seeing no further questions, I mean, I think the mood of the committee is pretty clear. We are very much on your side, and we are not at all comfortable with the notion of, surrendering public assets to malfeasance here. This is not acceptable. So I guess my question for Dina and Gigi real quick is there something specific or concrete you're looking for from us? Have we any thought of what maybe a potential resolution would look like or something like that?
I think at the moment, no. I think to me, the next step would be following Jim's suggestion to reach out to the quality of life officer at the 13th and have a meeting to talk about what their resources are towards this and what they're willing to do and how aware of this problem are they. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, like I said, we are putting together a larger meeting that's going to include Solar One beyond what the meetings that Gigi mentioned. That's going to happen, being coordinated through AM Epstein's office in mid-December. I think, and I know Gigi, you said that you didn't think there was a way to get rules, and maybe Tommy is right. Maybe it's not actually something that would be helpful, but it seems like something concrete that we can do through the council member's office. Since Keith is leaving and Virginia is coming in, it may be something that we need to wait on. And it's also possible, I mean, we'll see whether the new mayoral administration has a different kind of policy around some of this stuff or is willing to at least meet with us. We have never had any direct contact with the mayor around the issues that we have in our park. Obviously, it's kind of a small park, but I know Steve Levin has some hopes that maybe we'll be able to get some of Mayor Mamdani's attention once he begins his term. So I think what I would like for now is just I wanted to make sure that these issues were in front of the committee, on your radar. I think that many of the suggestions were helpful. I'm glad to know that Mark and the Park Association have reached out about the reporting address issue. And I think I'd like to come back in January and give you guys an update. And maybe at that point, it would be clearer what concrete action or resolution we might need from you guys to support whatever it is that we're going to be doing to try to address this going forward.
Thank you for coming tonight. We are looking forward to helping you in any way we can.
Thank you. I mean, I can't tell you how much, I've worked at Solar One since 2007, and this committee and this community board have been amazing partners always, and we also appreciate the work that you do and the support that you give. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you after the holiday.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
both.
you so much for the
Happy
time. We
Thanksgiving.
appreciate it. All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Okay, all right, moving on, everyone. As we said at the beginning, item 2 is has been canceled, so we're going to move on to a reso. We're going to circle back to something we've already spent a lot of time on, so this will be very quick. The discussion of the Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act. Maya was very, very kind and diligent in setting up a reso that I think very exceptionally well captures the sentiment around affordable housing broadly, and this bill specifically. And We'll open the floor to any questions.
Is this accessible that we can read it, like, or use that
Yeah,
into this?
it's right here.
Yeah,
It went out on an email.
It went out on an email.
yeah, so you always
I
have,
was-
you always have time, you always have 3 days, Reso will always be available 3 days ahead of time.
I was looking at the wrong email.
Would it be possible for those who did not receive the email to read it?
Yeah.
No, on the screen.
Well, it's on the screen now.
Yeah, I can scroll to the beginning. I was originally scrolling to the results, but I can scroll to the beginning instead. While I'm reading, I'm just going to make a few like minor punctuation things.
Just on information, are any of our people on sponsor or co-sponsor for this? Forget it's been a while
Yes.
since I looked at this.
Yes, Kristen Gonzalez,
Gonzalez,
Alex.
who else? Anybody else?
Mondani,
Okay,
our new mayor.
Alex Borges. And he said,
nobody else from
Brent,
we've got a couple of senators in our district. What about uptown?
I think we named all the co-sponsors.
Yeah. Very well written, reso, yeah.
If I could just say, I wasn't at last month's meeting, unfortunately, but I am incredibly disappointed in this committee for even considering voting on this resolution tonight. I mean, we've said time and time again that we want affordable housing, we need affordable housing. We have a bill in the state legislature that will make it easier to create affordable housing statewide. And we're discussing a resolution in opposition to this. To me, it just doesn't, it's unconscionable that we would discuss and anticipate voting on something like this.
Thank you. Susan was next. And
I just had something picayune, so it sounds like a more important point, so I will wait for my picayune comments.
fine.
Alec, you feel free to beat me up.
Okay.
Okay, because what we want is affordable housing. But affordable housing has to be sensible affordable housing. It has to be real affordable housing. Too bad you weren't here at the last meeting because we did have someone who was explaining some of the problems with this. Not the least of which is that this is done at the state level. And they're saying that 800 feet from this faith-based spot. Okay, let's say a church that's on this corner. 800 feet from there, they can build.
Yeah,
Whatever-
I understand the intricacies and details.
Right, it doesn't transfer to a high density area. It might be
What does
okay.
that, what does that mean?
Well,
What
that
do
you
what do
could
what
end
do you
up,
mean?
sorry, but can you let her finish because we're trying to follow.
I'm just confused.
you would end up in the middle of the block with a 16-story building. If it's only 800 from whatever is on an avenue. So that's one of the objections. The other objection is that there is no environmental impact study that is required. The zoning gets completely, overlooked. So there's too many loopholes for the amount of affordable housing that they're offering. We had a robust discussion. Did you watch the video?
I did, yeah, and I was disappointed and I left with a lot of questions that unfortunately members of the committee didn't ask George when he presented. Fortunately, he's going to come to the Housing and Homelessness Committee next month, so I will be able to.
Well, we were
ask him.
hoping that housing and.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the resolution came to our committee in time, but we will take it up next month. But I mean, Tanya, I don't understand your arguments.
My argument is that I would like to see more affordable housing,
Okay,
but I want to keep affordable. The problem is that under the guise of affordable housing, we keep getting these poisoned pills. For example, casinos tied to affordable housing. Or let's do away with zoning and let's do away with environmental impact studies just because it's affordable housing, and the percentage of affordable housing is minimal. The other thing is that there's other forms of affordable housing. It's too broad. And we had this at the budget committee as well. That's why we took affordable housing off the list, because it's such a broad definition that it tends to encapsulate, and it's become the new, the new nice word. Everything is affordable housing, but we want sensible affordable housing that meets the requirements of a community, that meets the requirements of the people. We should be building perhaps, housing that people can actually buy for low income people with income restrictions and with maybe loans that can be subsidized. And the problem is that I feel that, we're giving a lot of free rein to developers that under the guise of affordable housing are going to give us all kinds. We should be demanding affordable housing without the sweetness of letting developers do whatever they want.
First of all, affordable housing has to be subsidized. You can't just bring it out of thin air.
Of course.
That's why it comes through in the form of market rate units that offset the cost of subsidizing affordable units in new developments. Secondly, over 90% of all new home construction that occurs in the city is done as of right. I believe it's 93% of all projects do not go through a public review process. So this is just simplifying and streamlining things that are done 9 out of 10 times. And by rejecting this bill, we're saying that we don't want to see.
We're not rejecting it.
But we're voting.
We're not rejecting it.
We're not rejecting it.
We're voting on a resolution.
We're not rejecting.
Then what are we voting on, Jim? We're voting on a resolution that has qualms with this legislation.
With the
Yes.
way it's written, yes.
We're sa-
You.
We're
Then
pointing
what-
out shortcomings in the legislation as it is
What
and
are we
asking
proposing in
the
lieu of
sponsors
these?
to fix it.
Well, what are we proposing in lieu of that?
Increasing Mitchell-Lama housing opportunities and closing the Housing Development Fund Corporation loopholes that provide affordable housing opportunities to better provide. We're asking for something. We're not saying just get rid of it. That's one of the resolves.
I don't think that this is appropriate. I have too many qualms with this committee voting on something that is a statewide bill that is going to provide more affordable housing statewide. It's going to streamline the process. It's going to make it easier for faith-based housing
And
organizations.
you read the bill.
I did read the bill, yeah, and I
Okay.
also brought literature with me too, if you'd like, honey. Furman Center did a number of articles on this. I took notes at my home.
Landmarks is
Well-
against it too.
Okay, and so,
Well, sure, so is Rockland County, and so is the village of Tunston, which has a population of 1,400 people. And that's important because this bill doesn't affect towns and villages with fewer than 5,000 people.
okay, and then before we get too granular, we're gonna take some other questions, Sandy.
And, I just might say that we asked our elected officials who supported it to explain why they supported it. And the reasons they had nothing to do with our district.
Because it doesn't affect our district.
Exactly. So why do we have to have this that is going to it will affect our district? I mean, as I pointed out, like Trinity Church
6 million.
is one of the major landowners. This is gonna help them a lot. Now, and the other concern was that it's only it's for faith-based. And in other places where this has passed, it's been more than faith-based. And so
Sure.
we're giving a huge bonus to people who currently, we don't all have a faith. Why should we trust them? So that was the other concern. But the reasons that our elected officials gave were, because we had opposed affordable housing. That's not the case. We don't oppose affordable housing. We oppose this particular iteration of it.
But then what kind of affordable housing are we asking for?
We're asking for for affordable housing that doesn't build a 60-story building in the middle of a historic block. And that could be done. I mean, and I think in the explanation, it was pretty clear. Like in the outer suburbs, it's the same zoning for vast areas. We saw our map. It's extremely complex zoning that we have.
Sure.
And this will override it.
it doesn't override the zoning, it just captures the zoning from a district that's within 800 feet.
Yeah, that,
So that zoning exists.
no.
That's exactly what it does.
And it takes existing zoning and applies it to, it doesn't just like create
It applies
something.
it to a different place
Yeah.
where it wasn't allowed to be
Yes.
utilized before.
But we don't know why it wasn't allowed there. It could have been because somebody just didn't want to upzone their block. It could be because, right,
Well,
like.
they
Yeah,
didn't want
I mean,
to
like-
block because they like the way the community.
Yeah, I mean, like, and my personal views are aligned with that. Like,
I mean-
and I didn't shy away from that. I mean, then there are towers in the middle of 22nd and 23rd Street, and I don't see the problem with that. But, you know, the committee does feel the way they feels. I think this is a good summation of how they felt. I'm personally probably not gonna be voting for this because I feel the way you do. I want this to pass in Albany as it is. I'm gonna go to Maya and then Jim.
I think Sandy captured a lot of what I was going to say, but I did also want to say, as far as the faith-based housing bill, Alec, would it be like more palatable if we didn't make a comment on that and then just had this more of a broad, like, this is what we want to see in affordable housing? But my caveat to that is I feel like we've done those things before. And this was pretty representative of what the committee was saying. That we want something more, like Manhattan is very distinct from the rest of the state, and we want something that applies more to us directly to get the type of affordable housing that we need.
Yeah. Okay, Larry.
Well, the irony is that for something that's faith-based, the devil's in the details.
We'll allow it. Is that?
Or could you speak up?
He summed it up. He summed it up.
Well, I didn't hear
Larry,
He ended on a high note.
For something that's faith-based, the devil is in the details.
so we're gonna get,
I still have picky eating things, but I'm waiting for the meat to be over so I can serve the veggies.
Well,
okay, so we have some meat first, I'll give Daniel, then Tanya.
Yeah,
and then vegetables.
I mean, just to talk about the conversation that we had the other day or a month ago. I mean, we raised like 4 issues, or the committee raised like 4 issues with the bill. There was that the 800 feet, you know, people were worried about it giving you tall buildings in the middle of it, of the block. We were worried about it only being faith-based. We thought it wasn't enough affordable housing, and there was one other thing that I'm not really remembering. And at the end of it, I think it was Jim who said, then we don't like the bill. You know, we were saying we like the bill, but we don't like these 4 things. And that's, I think, the argument at one point Guy was making, and Jim was like, well, we don't like the bill. And that's how we got here, you know? And I still like, I don't know, I am with Alec and Gabe in the point that like, I want to support whatever is gonna get more affordable housing. Like, I think that makes sense and that should be a position of the committee. But like, I don't know, that's the framing that we have right now is like not supporting the bill, as opposed to saying we want affordable housing and these are these issues, I guess. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but I don't know, Maya, you're sort of getting at this at like the point of stating what we want as opposed to rejecting what might help us achieve that.
we're trying to improve the bill, Alec, just so you have an idea. I would like to, New York City has one of the lowest home ownerships in the nation. We're at 30%. What I would like to see is quality affordable housing. There's programs such as the old Mitchell Lama program. There's the HDFC program, which would allow people of limited means to purchase their home, as opposed to constantly building these rentals that are, you know, the entrance is on the back. Yeah, we built to affordable housing, but the entrance is on the back of the building. I would like to be able to do affordable housing in a different way. Instead of the short term, okay, yeah, let's just build this. Let's create affordable housing for the city for people to own.
Oh,
We could
absolutely, but
But
scope
this-
scope of argument, scope of argument.
Okay.
This is not what that bill addresses.
No, that's.
This is outside the scope of the argument.
So you're conflating two things, Tanya. You're
Gavel?
conflating this bill and the arguments that you're making
Gotta let him air it
are
out.
not addressed in this bill. There's no homeownership carve out here. There's nothing about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna,
Actually-
sorry, Tanya,
If
we're gonna
you-
rein this in because that's out of scope of the bill. So we're gonna go to our vegetables.
Go to the.
Susan.
So actually, I'd like to say that I'm kind of surprised you think we're against affordable housing because the last two resolves clearly indicate what we want. And it's that we need better legislation for the kind of affordable housing that's really suitable for Manhattan.
Mhm.
And that really gets into the AMI issue, since that's a
I don't understand what that means, affordable housing suitable for Manhattan.
that the AMI is way too high for the majority of the people who need affordable housing, because the region includes Westchester. So you have a much higher average median income than is realistic for New York City. And if we could get that adjusted, then you'd have a more equitable, affordable housing. I think we're for affordable housing according to this.
I mean, my pet theory is I created something called the NMI, the Neighborhood Median Index, where it's the
what?
it's my own invention, we're still figuring out, but it's within like.
May I suggest you?
Well, it's instead of using the metro region, which is too broad, you use, we have to decide, right? I don't know, like the average of every census tract within a 1 or 2 mile radius of the site, something like that, which would actually do away with that disparity. So I think there are possible conceptual tools in the future that we could use that could fix that AMI. That's also outside of scope, so I'm reining myself in, out of scope.
Okay, you're reining yourself in?
Susan.
Didn't you have something you wanted to add, or?
Thing.
Yes, go nuts. Please do.
But it actually deals with the actual wording of are we there yet, or?
We are there, we're ready.
Yeah,
after this.
please.
After this, a motion.
And first of all, you need a lot of semicolons.
Yeah, I was starting to fix those. but-
Okay,
Yes.
on the third and the third whereas, I was just thinking we should try to eliminate duplication of use. Like, for example, environmental reviews that would review, can we use assess, analyze, or study as opposed to review that will review? Just a thought. And then in the,
Just change the second review to.
The fifth?
Yeah.
One.
Take a second review to what?
Assess,
Yes.
Universally
assess demand.
agreed upon.
Okay, and then in the
a
fifth
good idea.
whereas, it says the proposed act does not propose. Can we say the proposed FBA act does not put forward or something like that, so we don't have proposed twice? And the whereas after that needs semicolon, now therefore be it resolved.
Where?
It's, we're just before the
121,
therefore be it
oh, you-
resolved, there should be a now in the paragraph above it,
Okay.
semicolon now, therefore be it resolved. And then a period at the end of the very last resolve.
And can we go back to the top again, so we can just see
Mhm.
what the preface is? I mean, would it help people if we said that we want affordable, we agree that this is a good thing for the state, but that we're looking for modifications for our particular neighborhood?
What you would say is that we have always been, lobbying for more affordable housing. And we definitely want affordable housing, but this one has some shortcomings or something to
For
that.
our community.
In this, I mean, in this preamble,
Take the word niche out and try to work this concept in there.
I mean, in the part at the top, the first 3 lines, right? Like we say explicitly as an alternative to the proposed faith-based Affordable Housing Act. And at one point, Tanya, you said tonight, we're trying to improve the act. But I think specifically here, we're not trying to do anything. Specifically here, we're trying to have an alternative to the act. And what I was trying to say earlier is like, that was the summary of our conversation last time we met. We basically ended it by saying, okay, well, we want all these changes, we might as well not like
I see
the
what you
bill,
said.
you know?
I would be in favor of a resolution that said whereas inspired by the Faith-Based Housing Act. And then no other whereas that mentions the act, but a whereas clause that mentions what we'd like to see in a future bill. Or in legislation that would be proposed next year. But yeah, to Daniel's point, this is just a resolution that reads as we're opposing this legislation.
And I mean, I think
We are.
there's.
We
We are.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna go to Maya and then we're gonna, I'm gonna fish around for a motion. Maya, please.
I forgot. Okay, first I will say to Alec, I do apologize for also getting to you this late. As you can see from the conversation that we're having about it again, it's a lot of like strings in the air to try to define something. I was gonna actually propose that we add another whereas to talk about what Sandy again mentioned, that this is just for faith-based and like what about education, organizations or something that.
In other locations that there's been broader,
Yeah, broader.
yeah,
So
That
where
would-
would this whereas be?
down
Yeah, I
further.
guess we can make it the last whereas, and then there could be a very quick, resolved clause. Or maybe even add it within,
So whereas.
And I mean, it's.
We cite the
it's
locations.
Say that we support the bill, but not as written. We
No,
want
we really
modifications.
No, I don't
We
think
don't.
so, because it's a fundamental discussion
think-
of
Yeah. We don't.
land use versus housing that the bill puts forward.
Mhm.
It's attacking land use zoning at its core.
Or, yeah.
It's bypassing it. It doesn't make
The
sense.
only advantage.
Adapting.
Yeah.
all right, so I mean,
We don't-
yeah, look, I think.
So, just interject, this last whereas would be whereas the proposed FPH Act. Oh. Like,
Only advantages, the religious community.
I think you can say unfairly advantages only.
Yeah.
Unfairly, that's, I agree, it's good.
Instead of only, yeah.
and just leave it at that.
Yeah, and the resolve can be like, be it further resolved that we'd like to see this be more expansive to include other opportunities or something like this.
Where would we like to?
Other sponsors maybe?
Site.
I don't wanna start doing research. I think I know something like this was in California.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We're 3 months in, we're done
Yep.
researching.
So where would this result be, just to interject?
Maybe under, to provide affordable housing for, provide an
Can
exception.
you go down to provide an exception there?
And,
You might
I
have
see,
to.
I don't know, cause then we need a new
It
resolve, and
doesn't
then we're
work
like,
with these.
yeah, I think
I think
honestly.
it's good.
I don't know. I mean, I do think it's specifically, it was a complaint of the committee last time that this doesn't, give the same advantages to education groups or to other nonprofits. And I mean, if that is,
Maybe the,
is that in there? Sorry, like I said,
no,
I was looking at the wrong email earlier, so I didn't read it.
it talks about housing, it doesn't talk about.
Like the same benefit to,
Or let me request the legislator work on this is, and, pro-housing approaches that don't benefit, religious institutions at the exclusion of other nonprofits.
Are you talking about the?
Right,
Well, so how to address that in the results?
Right.
Fairly.
yeah, I don't think that point is addressed in the result.
It's not.
To reevaluate better address. Specific.
Maybe. at
I would
the
put it in
end of that-
between the first resolve and the second resolve.
This is sort of what it says, but it's all.
There'll be a further resolve.
I wanted to squeeze it in, but
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want to get this. We further resolve that, Manhattan Community Board 6 supports.
Well, you can tack it on to the end of line 31. And better construct legislation that meets the affordable housing needs of our community.
Without
Without.
privileging.
We have one more issue.
My recollection of the conversation last week is, what we arrived at is that this is sort of a one-size-fits-all proposal for a state that really is, a tale of two cities. It's, And so the 800-foot rule in a rural area or a not Manhattan would be probably fine. But in Manhattan, in the mid-block, having a very, very tall building.
Or Queens or
has
Brooklyn.
had various problems.
But may I suggest, where, Brendan, you have the cursor there, it
Parts of the state that are.
construct better legislation that meets the affordable housing needs of our community while respecting the context and uniqueness of the built environment.
Okay, so.
Okay, we're going off script here. We just want to address whether or not we discussed privileging religious institutions or not. I don't think we need to add anything else to this right now.
So meets the affordable housing needs of our community.
Without privileging religious institutions over other nonprofits.
I think that's, yeah.
Over
Other
other.
nonprofit organizations.
Is this matter time sensitive? Because I'm just wondering if maybe we ought to kick it back and take another stab at it
No,
for next.
It's going to housing.
It's coming to
Yeah.
housing next month, Jim,
Yeah.
and we're gonna vote on it next month.
Yes, Brendan.
Yeah, one other, like, on the question of whether it's time sensitive or not, short of there being a special session in the state legislature,
Remember?
there will not be any consideration of this in the state legislature until January at the earliest. And probably.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
On community board time, January is
Based on.
tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
But,
but,
yeah,
but yeah, what point is, this isn't going to be voted on by the state legislature tomorrow.
It's just if it's going into housing.
We're losing.
all right, I think,
I would work with them and come up with something.
yeah, I think we're going
I'm sure they're gonna
to,
have people that want to do changes as well.
yep, that's okay.
yeah, absolutely. So do I have a motion?
I'll move to vote.
Thank you, Maya. Seconded by Sandro. Thank you. Okay. We are going to have a vote on the resolution.
Okay, when I call your name, please say whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Tanya Arias,
In favor.
Daniel Bernstein,
Opposed.
Jim Collins,
Abstain.
Maya Donahue,
In favor.
Al Militek,
Opposed.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Sandra Sherrod,
In favor.
Letty Simon,
In favor.
Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
Mark Thompson,
Abstain for cause, I guess, just abstain.
I just don't
Abstain.
think we're there yet.
He's not entitled.
not
I'm not entitled, I guess, yeah, I can't, yeah.
Gabe Terza,
Opposed.
and James Vera.
In favor.
Okay, so with 7 committee members in favor, 3 opposed, and 1 abstention, and 1 not entitled, this resolution passes committee.
Okay, terrific. Thank you all for a.
Where's the scotch?
It depends how quickly we deal with application number 2021M. Okay, we're gonna talk about the pop at East 54th Street, 245 East 54th Street. And I think Brendan, you're gonna pull up the application, correct?
Yes, just give me a moment, need to share it on screen for those who are at home.
Yeah, so we, as the community board, can weigh in on proposed design changes. The design change in question is, I believe, surrendering some public space for a cafe, seating, landscaping, and lighting.
Is there a presentation?
So no, they're not going to be here to present, but I know several people on this committee have visited this site, have strong feelings about this site, and are.
Is this the house on 55th?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's second between.
They've been closed for like 6 years. They closed a week after I moved to this neighborhood. I live a block away.
Is there like a street view you can show?
Yeah, let me find.
Cause I don't recognize that.
Or
Or
is there a second?
Find a picture of my.
Orange rectangle. just did
And I
not
walked
work for-
there, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
In
satellite.
Second?
Second Avenue.
It's on the corner of 55th. It's behind the corner restaurant. And the management has never been direct in all the years.
On 55th.
It's on 55th. There's a restaurant right on the corner. The Brevard is on 54th.
There you go.
He's traveling
There
too
you go.
far.
The street view person was struggling.
So it's.
Yeah, there it is.
With the,
That it has always looked like a wreck. For
And
years.
what actually are they proposing?
So it would have been nice to have the applicants here, but I guess we have 45 days to weigh in, so this is our shot. They are proposing open air cafe, seating, landscaping, and lighting. So just, I mean, a couple notes about this. We have, as a group, been attuned to POPs not living up to their public requirements. I think we have generally been in favor of, within limits of improving lighting, landscaping, and seating. That's something this committee has supported for other POPs. There are mixed feelings about adding space for an open air cafe. I am aware that this is generally not well loved for being shut at all times. My personal feelings are that if we leave a POPs unguarded and unattended, it will very quickly look like one near me on 26 between Second and Third, which is a den of iniquity, 24/7. And improvements that generate foot traffic are typically welcome improvements, and they probably do us a favor by helping keep the park open. But I am now prepared to be yelled at by the committee. There's a lot of hands very quickly. Susan.
I'm simply asking, I'm not yelling. If it hasn't been used since the beginning, why do we care?
They've kept it closed with one.
we want our POPs to be usable.
But it was open in the past.
Yeah, it was under construction.
What?
Yeah.
Are those apartments above it?
Yeah.
So you're going to put a cafe there with apartments above it? Are they going to be
Isn't that the
complaining about
building
the
that's
noise?
putting in the?
That's
Yeah.
first class
That's
luxury.
the management.
I'm sorry, B, is that you?
No,
Letty?
it's not B, it's Letty.
Sorry, lady, sorry.
It's first class luxury. And what I would like to see is if they have renderings or specific plans about what they're actually gonna do and when.
Where's the drawing?
You could be able to see.
I wasn't
Public
sure.
docs.
We have to look at
Public documents, I think you have to expand it.
this one. POPs
Right, on the left there, there's, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Version 2. Zoning map, photographs.
Yeah, I mean, when,
Tax,
like a week and a half ago, there was no renderings in here.
photographs, project description, the very last one, maybe?
No, it's all text.
Yeah,
It's all-
we're one step ahead of you guys and.
Okay.
All right, so, we're gonna go to Brendan, then Mark.
Yeah, one thing to clarify for the committee, yes, there would be 45 days to review once it has been referred to us. But this has not been referred to us yet. You'll notice that the
There it is.
community board review part is
After the street
in
planning.
the not started section, so.
Brendan, we found the rendering of it.
Yeah, it's the design change set zoning lot update, the third from the
They're
bottom.
From the bottom.
There we go.
190705.
And you zoom in deep there and I guess that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is. It's
7 pages. I'm sure they have other ones.
So blueprints, not renderings, okay.
And I'm sorry, lady, I couldn't hear you. What did you say about the apartments?
it's a first class luxury building. I think it's either co-op or condo, I think.
But that's the applicant, those windows, right?
Yeah.
That's the
The
applicant,
is
the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a case in point. The the Brevard is the owner of the building and the manager of the pop. We're gonna go to Mark and then Maya.
Steve, sorry.
Question. You're good, I'm sorry. The question is, what were they given in return for providing a pop?
Probably zoning.
That's a great question.
Probably extra height.
Bonus.
Bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we know. I think we can reasonably surmise.
Bonus floors.
Yeah.
I don't know, we should find out. If it was just, you're gonna get, I don't know, something stupid, okay, that's one thing, but if you're getting 2 floors of apartments, that's different.
There's 7.
We should ask if we can.
Mhm.
I'm confused, and maybe this is just that I don't know well enough, but in the agenda, it says specifically requesting the removal of the POPs designation.
That's what I.
So
was
what's how do we remove the POPs designation and then add the open air cafe that's gonna be public for everyone? Like, how do you do both of those?
They may not be public.
So it's no longer.
So it's no longer public, it's just private.
It's private.
But
It's removing parts of the POPs designation. The part of the POPs designation that's on the 54th Street side, some of that is going away. And I think a sliver of it on the 55th Street side. And as Brendan mentioned, we gave this to the committee because we heard it was coming down the pike. And it's generally good for you guys to have more time than less. So this has not yet been referred to us, which is one of the reasons why the applicant isn't here. So it's not officially in our hands yet, but it is publicly posted, and we did get a heads up that it was coming at some point. So maybe it would be good for the committee to get extra time to read these materials, so that they could have a more informed conversation about it. When the applicant comes.
Yes, when the applicant, and the
Yeah,
applicant.
so
Well,
this is,
I mean, we gave you guys the materials that are there just as a heads up. I mean, right, no, I'm to just be saying that we much more prepared have for a
when
they do conversation
that.
with the applicant, I think.
yeah, first we're gonna, Maya, she had her hand up.
I did, but I'm deferring to what Jesus was saying. I think we are all very confused.
Sandy.
I will say this has gone to the BALC committee, because they were very interested in it. And they noted that there's already, a cafe outdoor seating between, Second Avenue and the fenced-in area.
Mhm.
So currently there is a cafe there. They also noted that the space on 54th Street has not been usable by the public since it was done. And Anton called it, what was it, something like aggressive. Anyway, you're not allowed to go into the space because it's basically walled.
Yeah, it's fenced.
Well,
On both sides. They make sure that the public can't actually.
if the city is giving you an extra couple of floors or an extra whatever it is that they give you on the account that you offer a POPs, and they've given it to you, how do you move backwards on this?
Well, as,
Demolition.
yeah,
Seriously.
no,
I
the
mean,
pop's not living up to their,
It's not
Act of
living up-
Oregon is an ongoing
Mhm.
CB6 and New York City concern.
And it does appear that part of it is still the POPs. Like they have tables along one side, but some of it, they still have some space that's trees and.
Didn't we encountered something similar at another, where they also had a
Rosemary.
POPs.
Third app,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
32nd and
didn't
3rd.
they allocate a certain percentage of their POPs to patrons of the restaurant, and then when the restaurant was closed, they removed all their tables and chairs, and it remained open to the public? Is this, I guess this could be probably a similar situation.
It could be,
Yeah.
but they're not asking for that.
So they're asking for 20% of the space to go to the open air cafe for private
Yeah.
seating.
So they probably have to, I'm just assuming maybe remove that POPs designation in order to do that.
I'm not sure that's
I'm
necessary.
not sure.
You're going
What I
I-
understood and what I think Jesus just explained was it's the changing the POPs designation so they can have that up to 20%.
Right,
They're
so
not
they-
actually making it not a POPs anymore, so the wording is very confusing.
do we have the
Sounds
power
like
to
they're
do that?
modernizing the current POPs
What-
language.
Does the community board have the power to take
No, we don't, we
Pops
just
Maybe they
advise.
can make a recommendation.
We're in
Yeah.
there. We're in the
Can
process.
Jim.
Yeah, can I just suggest, we don't know any of this stuff yet, and we won't know until they present before us. I think just, it's kind of being kind of dilatory to keep speculating about things we don't know.
But we do need to know what they got in exchange for this. I think.
Right, so we need to understand the
Yeah.
policy.
We can
right?
find that out.
We
We can
need-
find
Right.
that out when they present.
Okay.
We'll give them the props if they knock down the 3 floors that they got.
Right,
That's
so,
reasonable.
who here wants to, who here wants to find out what the exact trade was, for the pop space that was given to this applicant? Yeah.
Provide the documentation.
Probably the lease agreement.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
To give us.
It should be at the Department of Buildings, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
DOB,
Yeah, DOB will have the
DOB
information.
would have it.
City planning,
Special permit?
What, lady?
it's city planning. City planning grants the pops.
It would be the city planning commission report.
So it would be
where-
city planning.
Okay, so this was, I mean, mostly to whet all your appetites for an upcoming,
Done.
Okay,
because we just had to eat vegetables and now we have to.
moved on.
We need the scotch.
Yeah, although
If we-
those are not vegetables, those are like
A
perfectly
digestive.
prepared Brussels sprouts you get on the side. They were fantastic.
And I remember Pops being one of the first things we talked about when I first joined, and remember I told you that the way to control those Pops is that you call DOB and they give a violation to the building for not maintaining this
Yeah.
way. That's how you do.
And we've done that in this, we
Yep.
have pops that are split where they close them and they.
Yeah, you just call DOB
Yeah,
and they find you.
and it's very well maintained. Maybe we, it's a classier
Yeah.
neighbor.
Is there anything else left on the agenda?
Do you have a report? Are we?
Yeah. Somebody. All right, so I just thought, friend might have his hand up. No, okay, all right, moving on to the chair's report.
Missing.
So, a couple quick things. We, as you know, the ongoing, reimagining the waterfront project continues, behind the scenes. We have some funding. We're gonna look at ways to get this project to be, moving forward, more well-known. We're gonna find, ways to communicate it to the other community boards to get them to support it. They have been, tentative as of yet, because they are not the visionaries we are on CB6. So if anybody wants to get more involved with the reimagining the waterfront, previously, AKA reimagining the FDR, was what it came to us as, we support it as a board, and we are looking for people to help us take that over to the next level. The Captain J. Brown Walk, as you probably remember, we passed a resolution asking for the scope of work for the some of the DDC's work along the waterfront to be folded, to have the repairs to that walk folded in. DDC said they're unable to do that, so we are going to try and get that done through our elected representatives. What we need here tonight is somebody from this committee who wants to take pictures perhaps of the Captain Brown Walk, some of the decrepit bricks or graffiti, and thank you, volunteer. And we are gonna push that ahead, even though DDC was not able to fold it into their scope of work. And the Mount Sinai Beth Israel site, as you know, we are gonna continue to work on building that into something that matches our statement of district needs. So we have a working group to try and forward that the work there is no longer a hospital, is no longer going to be a hospital, but we can use what powers we do have as a community board to try and advocate for as much affordable housing on that site as possible. So if you are interested in working on that, let us know as well. It's going to be a multi-month project, and we need all the dedicated and caring people we can on our side.
Okay.
All right, older new business.
Good question. Speaking of reimagining the waterfront, sorry, I noticed this morning that they like closed off that part by the restaurant, the parking lot over there. They already like put stuff
Waterfront Club?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, by the club. And I kind of forgot what was going on there.
I think you're talking about what was the parking lot. It's gonna be a park. So they're gonna have something of a. like
The
a-
parking lot there, they're gonna make it a park.
Yeah, they're just gonna top off the ing. How many gold tonight?
Did you miss that?
I like it. Nice. Yes, they were. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, it was referenced on weekend update, yeah.
weekend update.
Okay, cool. Okay, any other older new business?
Which SNL actor played you?
Maya,
All right, seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Sandro, at 8:11
Second.
PM, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good night.